Hello everybody, we're here today to do a video about Lieutenant James Lenk. Sorry about that. I meant to get a video out sooner, guys, but I've been having some technical difficulties and having to do a little bit of jiggery pokery here to get this to happen here. So sorry about that, but I will be making more videos. We're here today to talk about James. There's a key there, Lenk, or James. There's a 22 caliber slug over by the compressor, Lenk. Which by all rights should not have even been there by the compressor, because a 22 caliber slug does not exit when fired into a skull. So anyways, the fact that it even appears there is fishy. But anyways, moving on. We all know, most of us, and 99% of the people watching this video have obviously probably watched Making a Murderer. Well, we know that in Making a Murderer, James Lenk was deposed in connection with Stephen Avery's $32 million lawsuit for his wrongful conviction. Basically the reason why is because Officer Colburn, Deputy Colburn, took a call from the Brown County Police Department, basically, who were trying to tell them that they thought that Manitowoc County had the wrong guy for the rape of Patty Burnson, and that they think they have the guy who did it now, and whatever, basically trying to let them know, hey, you guys got the wrong guy. Anyways, they basically, Colburn tells Lenk, nobody does anything. It amounts to pretty much nothing. Nothing ever happens. Okay, so then suddenly you fast forward to 2003, to the day of or the day after Stephen getting exonerated. Suddenly these two pop up with, oh yes, oh we remember now, back in '98, yeah, we got this call from Brown County, and then now they're filing reports and what, so it's like, okay, whatever, just it shows you what's going on with this. But anyways, so what are they going to do now? Well, unfortunately, and I think by chance, Teresa Hallback goes missing. I am not saying that Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department did anything to Teresa Hallback. I'm not saying that. But did they capitalize on the fact that a girl went missing at that time? I think they did. Because, and here's why. Because if it's just a missing girl, you don't report somebody to the FBI as a murder suspect 2 days before her car is found and 5 days before her bones are found. Yeah, so that pretty much shows that this investigation was going in one direction and one direction only. I don't know how it could be made any clearer. So anyways, I'm going to show you now the document of where Stephen Avery is reported as a murder suspect on November 3rd. November 5th, the car is found. November 8th, the bones are found. Right. Okay.
And this is the document where Stephen is reported to the FBI as a murder suspect on November 3rd. So there it is.
So now you see that Stephen was reported on November 3rd, which is ridiculous. But anyway, now we're going to move to Stephen's pretrial, where essentially he's having to jump through hoops to penetrate, pretrial barriers just to be able to offer his planting defense. I mean, otherwise he wouldn't be able to offer any evidence of the planting unless he was able to penetrate this pretrial barrier. I mean, what the heck? I mean, I thought the state's supposed to have burden of proof. I mean, anyways, they even go on to say in the motion, it's kind of funny, they go on to say in the motion that there is more evidence of planting than the state has of rape. Yeah, so there you go.
So this document shows that they're having to jump through hoops and clear this pretrial barrier just to be able to offer the planting defense. Also pointing out that the state faces no similar barriers at all in presenting its case. And then down near the bottom there, it talks about the fact that there is actually a great deal more evidence to support planting than there is to support any rape took place. So, very interesting.
Okay, so now I'm going to show you that essentially the key was the only physical piece of evidence that they found in Avery's residence, besides the bullet, the slug found in the garage, which is in his residence. So, anyways, the thing is that this key, it not only didn't have Teresa's fingerprints or DNA on it, but it didn't have Steven's fingerprints on it. Okay? What kind of sense does that make? It has Steven's DNA, but none of his fingerprints. How's that? if as they, suppose Steven kept this key as a trophy, like some kind of a serial killer would or something, well, wouldn't he have been handling it, touching it? How is there no fingerprints from Steven on there? I mean, that's just weird. Anyways, here's the document from the defense motion where it basically states that this key has issues.
So basically, this is pointing out that Lenk is quite the crucial witness for the prosecution. He discovered the key at the Avery residence, key which he claimed was sitting out in plain view, yet no one had discovered it on previous searches. In fact, the key is the only piece of evidence that was ever found inside of Avery's residence that ties him to this murder. Also, Hallback's key she used for approximately 6 years, and the key looks brand new, factory brand new. So that's a problem. I mean, why it should show wear.
Okay, so that's issues with the key there, but now let's move on to what they're claiming now. We all know that that key suddenly turning up there was fishy as hell. What was it, the 8th search, whatever. Anyways, so they claim that this key was wedged in between the back panel and like the wall of the cabinet, like in that little, it was coming loose, the back of the cabinet, the back piece was coming loose or whatever. I guess they're trying to say that it was wedged in there and that's how it got missed. Well, okay, number one, if this thing was, if it was in there, you guys have all seen this key. It's a key, a pretty nice size key, and then another 4 inches of blue lanyard. How would this not have been seen wedged in there like that? How could that have been missed? It would have been hanging out one side or the other. When that bookcase was emptied, they'd have seen it in the crack, or when they pulled it away from the wall, they would have seen it sticking out of the back. Seriously? So anyways, but let's go ahead and let's examine that a little bit here. Let's look at this cabinet.
Okay, so here we have a look at this cabinet. You can see here that the back portion of it, basically what is the back of the cabinet, has begun, the staples or whatever that hold it in place kind of begun to come loose, and you can see it separating from the cabinet there. So, and then you can see down low here where it was open more. That's where the key would have had to have slipped out from, in my opinion, which is pretty low. So then we go on, you can see the key on the floor here, and you can see that it's actually forward from the back of the cabinet, like not over by the wall. If it would have fallen, it should have been over by the wall, right? But instead, no, it's kind of fallen forward. The lanyard is, the lanyard is facing away from the cabinet. The key is also facing away from the cabinet, and this to me just is a problem. It shouldn't have fallen like that. Nothing about it is right, in my opinion.
Okay, all right, so now I'm going to show you a key. It happens to be my key. Anyway, it's to my truck. My truck, I drove it for, I still have it, but I drove it for maybe 3 years. 3 years. A year after I got it, I went and had an extra key made so that I didn't have to use the master key and I could keep it in a safe place. Anyways, so I went and had a key made. So this is a key that I used for 2 years. Okay, not even the full time that I had the truck, but just for maybe a couple years. This is it. And I want you to look at it where you can see the brass underneath the plating showing through after that limited amount of use. And Teresa had her key for probably far longer. But when you look at this key, you see that? You see where you can see the brass color underneath, like especially along the ridge there, and down around the edges where it would hit the little little guard pieces that come off the ignition or whatever, you know, and then you turn it around and you can see, totally can see the brass right here. So that's just after minimal use of only a limited amount of time of use, and this key looks like this. So now I'm going to show you this key that they found.
Okay, so this is Teresa's key up close. You notice there that there is absolutely zero wear. This thing is brand new. It's like it's straight from the factory. You know, because you just saw what my key looked like after a minimal amount of use. This doesn't work. This is not her key. It's obvious.
Okay, so now we move on to March of 2006. Basically, no evidence has really been found in the case in months. Besides, you know, pretty much the initial search of the Avery property. So, they're having trouble corroborating things, you know. Anyways, so suddenly in March, after months of really no evidence turning up, Officer Lenk turns up on the scene, and lo and behold, suddenly we have the magic bullet appears over by the compressor. I mean, magic bullet indeed, because it's magic that it's even there, because 22 caliber slugs do not exit the skull. So it's just another dome scratcher, and guess who's involved?
So this document goes into talking about Lenk's interest in the investigation, going 4 months later and into March, when obviously there was a conflict of interest and he shouldn't have been involved, but he goes anyway. They're there because of Brendan Dassey's statements in his March 1st confession. They find a partial DNA match on this bullet that they find in the garage, this slug, and it's odd that it was found because this garage was searched so many times.
All right, now we're going to talk about the blood vial. All right. In MAM, they make a big deal about the hole in the tube. And apparently, I mean, there's so many conflicting reports about whether or not there should be a hole or not, whatever. I don't even care about that. Here's what gets me. What gets me, and they note it here in the defense's motion, is that when they go into that box in making a murder, they hold that thing up, and you can clearly see that thing, the evidence tape has been broken, and obviously not in an authorized way, otherwise new evidence tape would have been put on it. But no, somebody was just trying to quickly get into it, get out, and hopefully nobody would notice for a very long time. I mean, it's pretty obvious, because it's sealed with regular, ordinary Scotch tape, you know, and badly at that. And then even when they pull the styrofoam out, the evidence tape on the styrofoam has been cut as well, and it was tried to be resealed with Scotch tape as well. So it just doesn't work. That they're trying to say that didn't get used or whatever. Somehow somebody was doing something with that blood vial that wasn't authorized. That's all I gotta say. Something unauthorized was happening with that blood vial. So, anyways, this motion also points out just exactly how easily the sheriffs could access the clerk's office and where this file was being kept out in the open, because so many people were coming in to ask to see and were asking to be able to look at some of the files and whatever. So because of that, they weren't even like locking the whole thing up in like a safe or whatever. It was basically just sitting out in the clerk's office for basically to ease the ordeal of having to go get it out of a safe, because it was just being asked for so much. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and show you that document here.
So this document goes into talking about the blood vial, and where it was being held in the clerk's office, and how easily any officer could have walked in there during the daytime and pretty much been, you know, nobody would have even blinked at them. Furthermore, they all have, you know, there's 2 master keys that the sheriffs have that could allow them in after hours, and they could have done whatever they wanted after hours or on the weekend. So they had clear and unobstructed access to Avery's blood in his 1985 court file. So that's, you know, pretty significant, really, especially considering.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about the whereabouts of James Lenk on November 5th of 2005. Okay, this is interesting. He originally states that he was off duty that day, and that when he got the call about the RAV4 being found or whatever, that he was at some kind of RV place, some kind of like RV, I don't know, dealership maybe or something like that. It was something to do with RVs. He was doing something that wasn't work related. Anyways, because he clearly said he was off duty. Anyways, moving on. He eventually does show up. He says he got there around 6:30 or 7 o'clock. And the logs do show that he logged out with Remaker and Colburn at 10:41. But no login is shown for Lenk. Somehow he didn't log in. Now, if he was off duty and got there late, I don't see how that would be even possible, because they started the sign-in sheet like around noon. So, I just, it doesn't wash, I don't understand how so basically when it comes down to it, so after the story of being at an RV place or whatever, he got there at 6:30 or 7, he then goes on later and states to Deputy Shetter, who makes a report, stating that that Lenk stated that he worked a full 10-hour day that day. What? Basically, Lenk is being dishonest. He is telling a lie. At least one lie. Possibly two lies. Who knows what actually happened, but at least one is a lie. Because both can't be true. It's just simple logic. So, the man has lied under oath. That on top of everything else, I think casts serious doubt on the evidence in this case and the way the investigation was run.
Okay, in this document, this is the document where Lenk says that he was off duty and that when the call came in about Teresa Halbach's vehicle, that he was in Menasha looking at an RV, but clearly off duty and not around for the investigation right away. He ends up claiming that he got there at about 6:30 or 7, and I guess looked around or whatever, and we know already that, that him and Remaker and Colburn all logged out of the crime scene at 10:41 p.m. So then we're going to move to the second document here, where we see that essentially Deputy Shetter, makes a report out where basically Lenk claims that he worked a full 10 hours on November 5th, on that Saturday. So essentially what it comes down to here is Lenk is lying. One of them's a lie. And the fact that he's lying means he has something to hide, that there's something going on here, that, so it's pretty obvious, I think. He's just there at every crucial point. He's there to mess it up,
So that's about it for the James Lenk video. I just wanted to go over some of the strange things about James Lenk, to potentially set up other videos in the future. Basically, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let Dean Strang take it on home here, and basically ask only that you please subscribe.
Would Lieutenant Lenk lie? Would he lie as a sworn law enforcement officer? Well, all I can tell you is he did twice, and you heard it. Here he says he arrives at 2 o'clock. When he's asked under oath before, it's 6:30 or 7. This isn't 15 minutes off, folks. It's under oath, and it's a difference of 4.5 or 5 hours. At that time of year, November 2005, it's the difference between broad daylight and pitch black. He was under oath. if and when police officers plant evidence, they are not doing it to frame an innocent man. They're doing it because they believe the man guilty. They're not doing it to frame an innocent man. They're doing it to ensure the conviction of someone they've decided is guilty.